If you want to have a miracle happen, it can happen that easy for you. Learning in the daily practice of meditating, raising your vibration, taking responsibility for your consciousness and how you treat other people is being in the fifth dimension.
Welcome to the Modern Sage podcast. I'm Leah Guy, your host. And as always, I'm so happy that you're here. This podcast is meant to inform and inspire so that we can all live our best lives and accelerate and expand on our healing journey. Today's episode is no exception. I'm very excited to bring forth this guest and this topic. Before we get there, just let me remind you that you can follow me on social media at Leah Guy Live on Instagram and Facebook. And you can watch these podcasts on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/a girl named Guy, or just simply Google my name. Also, you can find out the latest about my books, events, courses, teachings, trainings, and one-on-one healing sessions at leahguy.com. Now, without further ado, there's a lot of conversation these days about the fifth dimension, and I have an expert author and healer herself who is here to discuss her new book and also the work that she does, helping each of us to accelerate into this new consciousness of the fifth dimension. We're talking today with Kimberly Meredith. Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, thank you for having me here.
I'm so glad that you're here. And Kimberly's latest book is Awakening to the Fifth Dimension. And Kimberly, this is out now. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
It's on audio and paperback and hardcover.
Great. I've been reading it and enjoying it very much. For those who are unaware, Kimberly, if you could tell us a little bit about your work as a medical intuitive and what brought you to write this book right now.
Yeah, so I'm a medical medium, psychic, and I'm a healer. And I started doing the work, I'd say, around 2014, 15, when I discovered my healing abilities after I had 2 near-death experiences. I do mediumship where I hear and see physical and emotional diseases in people's body. And by that is I'm a full-blown psychic. And so I can find things that are happening to people before they know they have them, or they've had them in the past. And I find the root cause of why they're happening. And I catch things a lot of times before people even know they have them, and connect them to why they're occurring. And then the next step is that I can actually help people release them. And also my guides, my team likes to refer different things also to take, which is nutritional supplements and different ways to eat. And I know that sounds like, wow, that's a lot that these guides are doing, but this is why they use me. And this is a lot that I do. I have a practice in Sherman Oaks, Encino, an office that I do the work out of. And I also do it through Zoom sessions. And I also do live events where I teach people. So I always feel like reading and seeing to believe, and also teaching is a great way to awaken to the higher dimensional frequencies, is which the guides want us to do, and live an organic lifestyle.
Yes. Of course. Yeah. So Kimberly and I have, as listeners who know me, of course, we have some similarities and the work that we do in large. I'm sure we do it sort of differently. And the conversation today about the fifth dimension, I think, is really important for healers and also for people on their healing journey, and all of us on our healing journey, because there's a lot of talk about the fifth dimension, and we're entering in this new age of consciousness. And I think that as is the case with many things in life, we talk about it a lot, but many people don't feel that they understand it, or that they're not doing something correctly, or just a lot of misperceptions about this new age of consciousness and what the fifth dimension is. So why don't you tell us from your perspective, what is the fifth dimension that we're awakening into?
We live in a lot of dimensions. It's nothing that hasn't been going on since the day the world, the universe was created, We were in a universal state of consciousness since we arrived. And so dimensions are, in every second we can move in any kind of direction or dimension we want to be in. We're multidimensional people. So say you're 70 or 60 years old and you wake up in the morning, you have a choice what dimension you want to be in for the day. So if you want to be in a third dimensional state of consciousness, you can be in that dimension. If you want to think you're ugly and you're sick, then stay in the second dimension. If you want to say I'm healed, I'm going to have a miracle today, then you're going to hop into the fifth dimension and beyond. Now, someone could say, well, that sounds really too easy.
Mm-hmm.
But God is simple. God is easy. If you want to have a miracle happen, it can happen that easy for you. Learning in the daily practice of meditating, raising your vibration, taking responsibility for your consciousness and how you treat other people is being in the fifth dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Miracles happen every day. I see miracles happening constantly. I do healings and miracles on people from all over the world, globally, hospitals to my office, Zooming. I see people in liver failure switch their numbers in a matter of 24 hours because they believe. And that's just how it goes.
Yeah. Well, that brings up a good point. And I too, I feel like I've witnessed so many quote miracles and been a part of that. Even the word miracle though, becomes confusing for people because it's like we're looking for something extraordinary or beyond the normal that we think couldn't otherwise happen. When in fact, what is a miracle? A miracle is just, a higher vibrational experience of something that's very possible once we align with that and have that expectation coming in faith and awareness of it and relationship to it, right?
Well, I'd say a miracle is a beautiful word. I'd say the miraculous miracles are something to be praised by the omnipresent, that you're gracious enough to accept
Mm-hmm.
and acknowledge when you've had a miracle. I'd say that I've had several miracles in my life. I've seen people that are paraplegics that are told they would never have children and they had children. I could go on with miracles all day long on your show. I'd say, is it a conscious shift in your own brain that you've created that miracle, or is it actually an omnipresent Holy Spirit energy that's gone through your body and you've accepted that? Yes.
Yes.
And you're
Right.
in a higher dimension. You're not in a third dimensional frequency.
Right. Yes. I guess what I mean to say is, even the concept of, can a miracle happen for me, or people feeling that they can't have the miracle or can't have the healing, is a lower vibrational state itself. And so to witness a miracle or that it's something outside of them, which it is, I agree, it's an omnipresence, but that we are connected to, right? Or in alignment with, relationship with, experiencing, because there's been miracles happening since the beginning of time.
Of course, there's people that are in a third dimensional state of frequency that will not accept miracles. There's always going to be naysayers and Debbie Downers and people that just don't go into the higher dimensional frequencies. Expecting miracles is awesome.
Yeah.
I think we all should expect miracles and be excited about them. And that's the amazingness of going into the awakening and learning. Yeah.
So in your book, you talk a lot about the different dimensions and where people live and subside and what that feels like. And you give guidance for people of how to access and live in the fifth dimension. Can you share for us today, maybe just a couple of tidbits for people of what it is to move from one dimension to the other and what they might experience?
Yeah, there's so many things that we can do day to day. I can only I do a lot of teachings. I have an angel club. People come and join that in my website. But in the book, I break it down into many exercises, many affirmations. I feel like if you're going to move into a fifth dimensional pathway of life, so say you just do not want to live in a third dimensional state of consciousness anymore and really move into the fifth dimension, but we are living in a reality of 3D still. But you really want to dive into really living more of a organic life. You would get up, every day and start your day out with really not, I can't do a long 1 hour meditation because of course we're working and doing other things like that, but really speaking to the omnipresent, which some people don't like to call God or source or whatever they want to do. But I have a very strong connection to God, Holy Spirit, because I was saved by God. I had an out of body experience 2 times. But you want to communicate with the omnipresent, because the more you're communicating with the universal omnipresent, the more the omnipresent universe is going to communicate with you. Mm-hmm. And when you're doing this, you can have a full-blown awakening. And we are having an awakening. So I would suggest at least 5 to 10 minutes a day of putting, like you put exercise into your body. That's important too, is exercising your communication with spirit. Mm-hmm. And then I would say, journaling, the meditation, and eating a good wholesome diet of nutrition. And I have many nutritional ideas in my book for people. Yeah. Also, I feel it's important to drink good water. Water is super important. And I have a lot of suggestions about water for people.
Yes. So you had 2 near-death experiences. And prior to that, you were working in the healthcare industry, also in Hollywood, on sets and so forth as what's the exact title? A nurse or a medical advisor? Is that correct?
I worked as a medical technical advisor for years. Yes.
Okay. And then you had your near-death experiences. And the first one, can you tell us about not necessarily the experience itself, unless you'd like to, but you're coming to the realization of something bigger was going on here for you. You coming to that awareness. How did you discover that was part of your healing crisis journey experience?
The first one, I didn't really, I didn't know I was having a healing crisis of any sort. I just knew I was having an out of body experience when I had it at the hospital. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know it was called an out of body experience. And then I came home from the hospital in really bad shape. Mm-hmm. I was suffering a lot of injuries and doing self-healing on myself. A girlfriend of mine was a Reiki master, and I didn't know what Reiki was. I'd never been around the healing community. I was always a nurse assistant, and I was a medical technical advisor on many television shows, and I was also an actress. And I was badly, severely injured. And then the second near-death experience, I shortly after that had the awakening with my eye blinking. My eyes started blinking fast, and I started feeling my hands getting hot, and I started having messages from the angels and spirit guides. And then I had remembered one day on the couch when I was still in a collar and I was in my wheelchair, that I had blinked with my eyes when I was a baby. Mm-hmm. And had communicated with spirit like that. And I was like, this is weird. My eyes are blinking when I was a baby.
Mm. And so since then you've learned the communication code and how you relate to your guides and so forth to help other people. Is that right?
Beyond that, yeah, I've become a world-renowned medical intuitive medium psychic surgeon healer, and I've healed thousands and thousands of people and found thousands and thousands of serious diseases in people's bodies, including colon cancer, breast cancers, tumors, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all types of diseases through my blinking eyes, and hearing messages, and even mitral valves, cardiac problems before people have even known they've had them, including blood clots before people have gotten on planes. I've known they've had serious conditions, tumors before doctors have known they've had them. And I work with doctors and medical professionals, and I tell people, oh, this is going on in your, like one guy said, oh, he was ready to fly back to New York. And I said, there's a clot happening in the bottom of your leg. And he's like, no, I've got to go home tomorrow. I have to go back home. And I'm like, no, you have a clot. You have a clot going on.
Mm-hmm.
And when the guy, I'm like sort of like a Rain Man, private detective, really, that should be my name. And once they get something fixated in my brain, they'll just keep saying it over and over again. And that's the Edgar Casey, the science guys coming in. I've got a bunch of different guides. I've got the Virgin Mary, I've got, and then I've got the scientific guides. And, once they get something, they're just going on about it. And then he went to the doctor and got scanned, and they said, no, you've got a clot. You've got to get on thinners. You can't fly. So they're really, the detectives come in.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of circle rooms. Like I do a lot of healing Zoom rooms. And there was one lady, just for an example, the guides saw her throat, her thyroid, and they were saying, please get your thyroid checked out. She said, nothing's wrong with my thyroid. And I could go anywhere in her body. And she wanted to talk about another issue. So she was more concerned about something else that was going on in her body, but my guides were concentrating on her thyroid. And I was hearing, I get hot flashes when I feel cancer or something like that, but I never wanted to upset anybody in a room, but I just kept saying, thyroid to her, please get your thyroid checked. But she was sort of upset with me, and she kept saying, nothing's wrong with my thyroid. Nothing's wrong with my thyroid. But so later on, she emailed me and she said, I couldn't stop hearing you in the room saying that. So I went to my doctor, and he said, I have 4-stage thyroid cancer.
Oh, wow.
So she got on it though,
Yeah.
but this is good.
Yeah.
So they're just sort of like these nosy, but like wanting to get at stuff right away. So in the book, at the back of the book, we talk about these studies and cases where they've been it's nothing to do with me. I'm just a vessel, to go in there and get at it and help people find out things. But we're also wanting to do another book probably coming out about how to help people learn to do what I'm doing.
Right. I was going to ask you. So a lot of people, some people are skeptical about medical intuitives and medical mediums and so forth, but there's other people who understand the great value. And I think there's many people who are interested in, can I learn to do this? And so I guess what I hear you saying is yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say there's more people into it because I work 7 days a week, and I've been doing this for, oh my God, almost like since 2017. So yeah, I think the more people are definitely, I'd say probably holistic is really the way a lot of people love it. I like Western also medicine. I have to say, I really do. I like Western and holistic together.
Yeah. Well, they're both gifts,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're very good together. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. In your book, several of the things you mentioned about such as letting go of fear and how healing can't happen in the third dimension. Can you expound on that for us?
I think that anytime you have fear in your body, you're not letting the energy of love, which is God and angels and your guides, come in and help assist you in your healing. So when you're fearful, or if you're going to anybody, a healer, a physician, or a doctor, where you're frightened and you're in a state of being in panic of your health. And I'm speaking more on a health right now.
Right.
And they're telling you, oh, you only have 24 hours to live, or oh, you've got COVID, oh, you've got all these things, and you're in fear. You're really putting your body in a state of crisis, and you're scared and you're all like tense. But when you're feeling safe and you're in a state of love, I am going to be healed, then you're more open to being healed. And letting go of fear is the most important thing in all aspects of our self-healing, and embracing that fifth dimensional state of consciousness, and accepting that you deserve a miracle, you deserve to be healed. You are going to be healed faster. And this is in everything also, even emotionally, because anybody that does have something going on, there is an emotional aspect to it also.
Right.
Emotionally, normally when we get sick, our body is being emotionally attacked and sometimes psychically attacked. And there's something going on there that we're having some sort of imbalance also. So we have a practitioner. I mean, I know people that they'll do anything to be around a doctor or a holistic practitioner that just has a kindness to them, a sweetness to them. And they'll say to me, well, my doctor, he may not be the most fanciest or whatever, but he's so sweet to me or so kind to me. And I feel healed just being in his presence.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. You also talk about, which I was very happy to read about, but a good amount of the third dimensional relationships, and our emotional woundedness, our traumas, our pains, our so forth, that live in this third dimension and second dimension, and moving or becoming aware and aligning ourselves with higher frequencies. How we can't take a lot of that stuff with us. There's not that there's not room for it there. It's not a vibrational energetic match to have those things in this higher frequency. And the resistance from a lot of people, of like the skeptic people of medical intuition or psychic and so forth, there's a certain resistance to some people saying, I can't let go of that part of myself, or the fear of who am I without that, or, I don't know how to forgive, or so many things. So what do you speak to about people who are really struggling to release, heal, forgive their emotional traumas or circumstances from their past?
I think anybody is going to have that, even if they're not a skeptic. I think there's people that just have a hard time releasing the past. Even if they love the fifth dimension, even if they're in the fifth dimension, there's still going to be a part of your brain that wants to go to the past. When we're having a trauma, when we're young, between, I'd say 2 to 7 or 8 years old, that is such a significant time, those ages, that your brain is going to want to go there, whatever happened to you, and cling on to it. And it's a sponge. Those years are so traumatic that you could your whole life always go back to those memories. And it's so hard to let it go. So those people may be the skeptics, or even if you're not a skeptic and you love being in the fifth dimension and you've had miracles, your brain's still going to want to go to that memory.
Right.
So learning how to do the exercise I have in the book, do the forgiveness, the perpetrator, whoever hurt you, doing that forgiveness mantra, forgiving that person, lets go of that horrific energy, that pull. If the person has passed, or the people, whoever they were, the soul energy that hurt you, it does release it. It releases the energy more and more. It doesn't have the pull over you anymore, because that energy, whatever happened to you, or even if it was not when you were young, even if it was something that happened to you currently, if you had an assault, maybe just a few years ago, whatever happened, it happened in another dimension. You're in a fifth dimension. That energy is in a third dimension. it's not a part of your reality right now, because you have to remember we're in dimensions, we're multidimensional. Whatever energy it was in, it's not in your dimension. You are safe now. And that's what I teach. I do activations. And so I, for one, had a lot of different types of abuse. And I learned how to get out of that dimensional conscious abuse, because it's not in my dimension I'm in now. It's in a different dimension.
Yes. I think that's a great way to put it. Obviously, this is the work that you've written about and the work that you do to help people understand that that ego part of ourselves, or that
Yeah.
part that's attached to the different dimension, lower dimension, to have awareness of that and to actively, this
Yes.
is the piece that I think when I talk about skepticism or resistance from people, obviously, or I feel in my heart that most all of us want to have a higher dimensional state, and we crave and long for the love and the presence of God and spirit and health and peace and compassion. And because some people are what I call addicted to or habituated to that ego state that's in the pain mode. They look at anything outside of that and go, oh, that's, I remember back in the day, I used to work at health food stores 30 years ago or something, and even then people were like, the herbs, the supplements, they're not going to work. They're not as strong as medicine. And it was, now we've come to realize a lot more collectively of how potent and natural medicines are,
Yes. Yes.
So anyway, I appreciate you explaining it that way. And I think that understanding can be helpful for people to categorize, almost to recognize where they are. Yeah.
Yes, it's very helpful. And I know that it does work.
Yes.
I've seen it. In the forward and in understanding, when I did the testing with Dr. Shealy, I don't know if you got to that part, but I did a lot of testing, and these institutes reached out to me, and the guides said it was good for me to go. So I always ask them, and I have that built-in communication. And when I went to Dr. Shealy, Norman Shealy, who also discovered Carolyn Meese, who's a medical intuitive, much appreciated medical intuitive, amazing. I stayed with him, and I did many scientific researches, studies with many people. He had me do research study on 21 individuals, and that was very rigorous. And what that entailed was each person that came to his clinic, they filled out 2 sheets of everything that was wrong with their body. So, and that is the same thing in my office. I kept the same routine, meaning they would write down if they had eye surgery, heart surgeries, they have stomach issues, every single thing. And then I would have them come into the examining room, and I would go through the body. Him and his associate would record it and also take notes. And I would go with my hands and my eye blinking, and I would start scanning, and I'd say, this is wrong, or this is wrong. This is what I'm getting. This is what I'm getting. And they would take notes and see how accurate I was. If I missed anything, what I got. And as I went through the body, my guides would name out all the different diseases and different things that I would be finding. One particular day, a woman was there, and I found a lymph node on her throat that they were going to take out and biopsy. And I called it out. So we went through all of these patients. Certain patients, she was one, we brought back, because we had certain ones he wanted to see test me as a healer.
Mm-hmm. And
I don't know if you know Alan Steinfeld.
Yes.
He flew in for this particular part of the study to film it. to
Okay.
get it on film. And I did my healing. And as I was doing the healing, he got up and walked over. And this is what I do. They do, not me. I went over and I rubbed my hands real hot and I started to pray. Now, I didn't know Dr. Shealy likes to say the Hail Marys like I do, but he said, well, it's not that I like to, I just felt that I should.
Mm-hmm.
So we started to say the Hail Mary. And I went over to her, the side of her, sort of not on the thyroid, but right near, like an inch away from the thyroid. It was about, I'd say, the size of a peach pit.
Oh, wow.
Hard. I'm getting chills right now. And I went over to the side. He first came over and touched it. He goes, that's hard. He goes, all right, like that. And then I put my hand on it and I said, are you ready to accept the Holy Spirit? She says, yes. I said, she goes, I accept the Holy Spirit. I said, okay, accept the Holy Spirit. I put my hand on it and I said, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. And I said the whole prayer. He sat down on his chair and he goes, Hail Mary. Then he came back over. I went like that. I said, do you accept the fifth dimension? She says, I accept the fifth dimension. This is where the book was not written yet.
Yeah.
She goes, I accept the fifth dimension. I was still in my recorder. And I went like that and it flew off. He comes back over, he puts his hand and he goes like that. It's gone.
Wow. That's beautiful.
So when I finished the book, it was in the recorder. I started to record it out, typed it out. And then finally, that's a long story when I got my agent and all that. But actually, when it was all the way done, I had a different name for the book.
What was it?
Oh my God. It was something like My Eyes Blink or something about my eyes or something.
Okay.
But the interesting thing is I had gone around the whole entire, like, oh my God, Australia and Mexico and New York. And I had been to the expos. So many people, the guides would always say, do you accept the Holy Spirit before I'd lay hands? And they'd say, yes, because they want this energy off of them.
Right.
And I would say, and are you in the fifth dimension? Do you accept the fifth dimension? Because the fifth dimension is just like going into this miraculous healing space. And they would say, yes, I'm in the fifth dimension. So when finally we came up with the title, this was not my title. This was the most amazing editor that at the publishing company. He said, Kimberly, you've healed so many people, even people at expos and all over, publishers and people. This is the fifth dimension.
That's great. That's a great story. And it's great. You're great is not even the word. It's beautiful what you're doing and how you're sharing your gifts with the world and helping so many people. And I hope people who read this have a better understanding of, of how to apply and access.
Their hands. Yeah. So that's what I'm just trying to give you an idea is like when you're doing the exercises, thank you so much. You're so sweet. But when you're doing the exercise and you're reading the book, everything is in your hands, the jing, your palm, like you were saying. Things that we thought from the beginning of time are back again. It's all in our palms of our hands, the healing every day. I always say, go around your throat, make sure your lymph nodes are good, rubbing your palms, praising the energy, and being in the fifth dimension.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. And the book again, for those listening and for watching, Awakening to the Fifth Dimension with Kimberly Meredith. You can find it anywhere books are sold and on audio as well. And Kimberly, I hope we cross paths sometime and I'll introduce myself when we see each other, and continued success and love on your journey, helping other people. And of course, yourself as well, keeping yourself in tune and healthy and so forth. Blessings.
Yes, I wish you so many blessings. And I'm so appreciative to being on your show today, and
Thank
all your listeners and fans. And just God bless everybody, and peace to everybody, brothers and sisters.
Thank you. All of her information will be found in our show notes, and we will see you next time on the Modern Sage podcast.